Ruining the day in the sartorial kitchen. Kicking things off, it is my quattro formaggi pasta. That's 4 cheese. Next, it's a classic croc madame with runny egg. And last but not least, for dessert, a chocolate Béchamel over strawberries with fresh whipped cream. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me?
To the sartorial kitchen, everybody. We are ruining the day. So all of our dishes are going to involve making some kind of roux. Now, roux is just butter and flour, equal parts, and it's used for all kinds of dishes. Cheese sauces, thickening soups, just you name it. So we're going to start with my quattro formaggi pasta. I've got some water boiling here. I'm just going to throw in a generous helping of salt. That's going to season our pasta, and that's going to get our water boiling nicely. Now, quattro is just 4. And formaggi is cheese, so this is a 4 cheese dish. And my pasta, I've got some farfalle here, or bow tie. And I'm just going to throw it right in. I'm going to start my other skillet here, saucepan, for our cheese sauce. Let that get nice and warm. I'm going to throw this in. I like to throw it in just as the water is getting ready to come to a complete boil. That's going to ensure that it cooks evenly. And I like to drizzle just a smidge of olive oil in here. That's going to help keep the pasta from sticking. And we come in with our little doodad here, and we give that pasta a little stir just to kind of break it up. It likes to clump up. Alright, that looks pretty good, and you can just leave that go. That's going to cook for about 8 to 10 minutes depending on how done you like it. The mini farfalle cooks a little quicker than that. Now for our sauce here, like I said, we're starting out with butter and flour, equal parts. I'm just going to get a little knife out here. And I'm going to get about 3 tablespoons of butter here. And I've already got my cheeses laid out. Now you're probably thinking there's only 3 cheeses sitting here. Well, the 4th cheese is going to go on top. It's going to give us a nice cheesy crust. So that's where we're getting the 4th cheese in. And I've got my flour ready here. And you just want to let that butter kind of melt down. Alright, that butter is melting down nicely. You want to catch it just before it starts to brown. Brown butter is not good for roux. It's maybe good for some desserts, but not for roux. So I've got my butter and there is my flour. That's equal parts butter and flour. And you just stir vigorously because the flour will burn. And you just want to stir it until it's completely incorporated into the butter. And you'll see that it starts to make like a nice paste. And you want to catch it just before it gets too dark. But cook it long enough that that raw flour taste is cooked out. And I would say this guy is ready to go. It is that fast, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, I would say our flour mixture is ready. We'll get this guy out of the way. Now to that, we need some heavy whipping cream. And I'm just going to pour that right in. The heavy cream combined with the flour mixture. If you stopped here, you'd have a nice cheese sauce, which cream sauce, I'm sorry, which we are going to be discussing on the next dish. But we're going to go ahead and kick this up to the next level. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some different seasonings here while I let this come to a boil, and then we'll add our cheese. So I've got some pepper here. Pretty generous with the pepper. And the salt, we want this to have lots of flavor. So about a half teaspoon each. on that. I've got some nutmeg here. Nutmeg's a little strong, so we're just going to do a 1/4 teaspoon on that. I've got some onion powder here, about a half teaspoon on the onion powder. And lastly, some garlic, and I just want to capture some of the garlic oil. I don't want the actual minced garlic in there. And that's also about a half teaspoon. And we're going to stir that in. We're just going to let that guy come to a boil, and we'll add our cheeses. Okay, let's talk cheeses. I've got 3 cheeses here. You're thinking they all look the same. Well, they're not. I have some Gruyere. I also have some fresh mozzarella, shredded. And I've got some white cheddar. And then we're going to throw some fresh Parmesan on top. Yum! I may throw a little in to the cheese mix as well. But I want that on top to get nice and bubbly. This, our cheese sauce is starting to bubble now. You can just kind of check it. It is nice. It's lukewarm. I want it to come to a boil for those cheeses to really incorporate. We're going to stir this pasta here. Sometimes you can tell by looking at the pasta if it's done or not. Or you can always try a piece. That's pretty good. I think it needs about another minute. I'm going to go ahead and get this cheese going. And we're just going to dump it in. It's about a cup each. And you can use whatever cheeses you like. These are just some classic cheese combinations for a 4-cheese blend. And we're just going to whisk that right in. And it's just going to get nice and luscious. Let me grab that Parmesan. I've got about 2 cups of the Parmesan here. I'm going to sprinkle a little in now. About a third maybe. And we're going to save the rest for our topping. And then we're just going to stir this right in. And as you can see, those cheeses are melting beautifully, turning into a luscious sauce. And the reason we do this, you get that gorgeous, luscious texture when everything comes together just right. I could almost eat it just like this. Alright, cheese sauce is continuing to meld together. I would say this pasta is done. I'm going to take it off. We need a strainer. Handy dandy strainer. I'm going to set that right there in the sink. And pull this off the heat. Be careful, it is hot. This guy goes in the sink. Thank you for coming. Do not rinse the pasta. Just drain it. You want those starches from the pasta. That's going to help our cheese sauce cling to it. Alright, and back on the stove it goes. And I think our cheese sauce is ready steady. So I'm going to turn that off. Now we're just going to dump our cheese into the pasta. Nice. It's nice and ooey gooey and stringy. That goes in the sink as well. And then we're just going to kind of stir that around and incorporate all that beautiful bow tie into our luscious cheese. Beautiful. Okay, I've got a baking dish here. Like I said, this is going in the oven. It's going to get nice and bubbly brown on top. So we're just going to pour our pasta right into here. Oh, look at that. It's tempting. I want some now, but I we're going to make it even better in the oven. And just make sure you get every last bit of that out of here. We don't want to leave any man behind. Beautiful. Alright, that goes in the sink as well. And just spread this out so it's nice and even all the way across. And we can set that guy aside as well. And then we're just going to take our cheese, the rest of our fresh Parmesan, and we're going to grate it right over top. A nice generous helping. Just kind of spread that out as well. Beautiful. Alright, this guy's going in the oven. That pan's a little flimsy, so I'm going to set it on a baking tray. I've got my oven preheated to 375. It's going to go in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, just until it gets nice and golden brown on top. And while that bakes off, we are going to move on to our next dish. Okay, mac and cheese is cooking down nicely. We're going to move on to our second dish. It is a croc madame, which is basically just a ham and Swiss, grilled ham and Swiss, with a bechamel sauce and a fried egg on top. Now, if you stop at the bechamel sauce, you have a croque monsieur, and it also, you sprinkle a little Gruyere cheese on top and let it get bubbly. But for the madame, we add that runny egg. And I love, you guys know that I love a runny egg. There's nothing like cutting into that egg and just watching it ooze all over the plate. So luscious. So, I got some pumpernickel here. I like pumpernickel. I think it'll be a nice flavor profile for our sandwich here. And I'm just going to butter my bread. We're essentially making a grilled cheese here, but it's got ham on it. We're using Swiss. That's classic French flavor profile. I've already got my pans working here. I'm going to get another little bit of butter here for our egg. When you're doing a fried egg, you want to make sure your skillet is nice and hot. If you put the egg in too soon, it's going to stick and it's going to make a mess, which is no fun. Let's see, I've got my ham here. This is just some deli ham, roasted ham. I'm going to do, I think 3 slices will be good. This is pretty thick ham here. About 3 slices should be good. And then the Swiss. I think I'm going to do a slice of Swiss on each side so it gets nice and nice and brown for us. And that's just going to go down into our skillet. Okay, we're also going to start another bechamel here. This is all about brewing. I'm just going to do a tablespoon of butter this time. We're not making as much. We just need enough to cover our sandwich. And then I'm going to crack our egg open. I always like to do my egg into a separate container so I can watch for egg shells. Make sure we get our pan nice and covered. I've got that on a low heat. You also don't want it too high because that's also going to make the egg stick. You just want a nice low heat. I'm going to add a little salt, about a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. We want to flavor our dish throughout. I've got my sandwich going. Okay, the butter is melted down. Okay, this time we just need about a tablespoon of flour. Not nearly as much as last time. And give that a generous whisk. That's already looking pretty good. Yeah, the flour and the butter cooks really quickly, so let's see, the pan feels good. You can usually tell the butter's melted, and as you slide it around, you'll see it kind of bubbles up some. So I'm just going to drop my egg in here, and you can hear it, it's already starting to sizzle. Very nice. Alright, to our flour mixture, we need a little more heavy cream. About a half a cup should do us. I'm going to save the rest for our dessert. And we need to flavor our bechamel. A few dashes of salt, a few dashes of pepper, and our nutmeg once again. This is classic bechamel flavors here. Just a pinch of nutmeg. Little nutmeg goes a long way, and we're just going to stir that in, get it nice and incorporate it. And once that boils, we're going to turn it down, and it's going to start to thicken up for us. Alright, time to flip our egg. And I like to position the egg so the yolk is facing me because it has less surface to travel. And then you just it's kind of a back and forth. If you've got enough butter in the pan, your egg should just slide right over, and we're going to turn that off. The residual heat from the skillet is going to cook the rest of the white on the other side. And the yolk should be nice and soft still in the middle. Now let's flip our sandwich here. And as you can see, that Swiss is starting to melt. We got a nice crust on our pumpernickel. It's hard to tell, the pumpernickel's already dark, but you can kind of hear it when you scrape the spatula against it. So we're going to let that go. Alright, I'm going to turn up this bechamel and let it boil. We want that cream sauce to kind of thicken up for us. The egg, you can kind of poke around the egg. If it feels firm, you know that it's done. The whites are done. We want that yolk to be runny still. I'm going to set that aside. Sandwich looks great. Now I just need a plate. Voila. Alright, I'm going to turn off the sandwich. I think it is good to go. I've got a little more of that Gruyere from earlier. I'm going to just sprinkle a little on top, just to make the sandwich even more luscious. And then when I add the bechamel, it's going to melt that cheese all over. It's going to be amazing. Alright, cream sauce looks pretty good. I do not need all of this. I'm just going to pour a little right over the sandwich. You can see it's nice, and it's not too thick, but it's got some runniness to it. And then our egg. Right on top. Look at that. Does this not look delicious or what? I know it's decadent, but sometimes it's good to indulge. Now watch. Cut into this. Watch that yolk just ooze. Oh my goodness. So delicious. I'm just going to come in here and get a nice big bite with everything on it. Mmm. Mmm. Oh my gosh. So good. The ham, it's salty, gives you a nice savory note. The bechamel and the Gruyere, they just kind of dance together. And then you have that yolk that says, let me play too. Just the right amount of seasoning. You get a hint of that nutmeg. The salt and the pepper. You get the crunch from the pumpernickel. Mmm. Absolutely amazing, ladies and gentlemen. So good. Alright, I think our mac and cheese is about to come out. We're going to give that a little taste, and then we will move on to dessert. Stay tuned. Alright, our mac and cheese... Alright guys, our pasta is ready to come out. Oh, nice. Look at that Parmesan crust, everybody. Golden brown and bubbly, just like I said. I hate to ruin this dish, but I am going to have to come in here with my fork and give this guy a little taste. That's hot, so give it a little blow. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. I love the farfalle, or the bow tie, because it gives you a little texture, as opposed to like a mac and cheese. It gives you a different texture. You get a nice little crisp from the Parmesan on top, and then you just get that warm butteriness of all those melted cheeses, the sharp cheddar, the Gruyere, the mozzarella. They all play really nicely together. Mmm, so good. Delicious. Alright, I'm going to clean up and we're going to move on to dessert. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It is dessert time, and I am showing you a sweet bechamel this time. And I've got some nice fresh strawberries, and we're going to make a fun little dessert sauce here. So I've got my pan going, just like before. And I need a couple tablespoons of butter. I'm also going to need some sugar here. I've got my flour. I also have some vanilla here, and I have some cocoa powder. It's going to be a fun little chocolate sauce, and then I've got the rest of my heavy cream. It's going to be absolutely amazing, you guys. Okay, I'm letting this butter melt down. Make just enough sauce for me. You can always double the recipe if you want to make a bigger dish. And this is also a good like dessert fondue kind of thing if you have one of those fondue warmers. This makes a lovely sauce. You can lay out marshmallows and different things to dip in it. It's a lot of fun. Fun little party dish. Okay, this butter, let's see, I'm going to whisk again. This butter is pretty good. Go ahead and get my flour ready. Okay, we got 2 tablespoons of butter, so we need 2 tablespoons of flour. And this one, because it is a dessert, you really want to make sure you get all that raw flour taste cooked out. You do not want to taste raw flour in your dessert. Okay, and this, just whisk it really good to keep the flour from sticking and making a mess. And you can kind of tell when it's good. It starts to turn color on you, and you won't smell that flour as much anymore. And it kind of gets nice and kind of glue-like, almost like a paste. That is good. Alright, we're going to add the rest of our heavy cream here. It's about 2 cups. We're going to stir that in. We want to incorporate the roux we just made into our heavy cream. Alright, beautiful. I am going to add just a pinch of salt. I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, salt. Salt is good for desserts, I'm telling you guys. It brings out those natural sweet flavors. And I've got just some cinnamon here. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I've got the rest of my nutmeg here. I'm just going to do very little of the nutmeg. Nutmeg goes a long way. But I love nutmeg in desserts. And we're gonna whisk that together. You could leave it like this before you add the chocolate if you just wanted to do like a kind of cinnamon sauce. We do need some sugar though. This is a dessert, so we need some sweetness. We're gonna do about a 1/4 cup of sugar. The sugar is gonna dissolve in the cream here. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's gonna dissolve, so you're really not gonna taste it. Let's see, some vanilla. I like using the good vanilla. The cap here is about a 1/2 teaspoon. You just kind of measure that out, save on dishes. And then when that starts to boil a little bit, I'm going to add my cocoa, and I'm going to stir that in. And we'll have our sauce. In the meantime, I've got some beautiful strawberries here. I have washed and I have just cleaned off the stems. And I'm going to get a little bowl here. I thought it would be fun. I'll just lay some strawberries in here. Just a few. And we'll drizzle our sauce over top. Won't that be delicious? Okay, set these guys aside. Alright. Our sauce looks pretty good here. You want it to get nice and bubbly so it thickens up. Pretty good. Alright, now we've got our chocolate. I'm gonna be a little more judicial measuring this out because I don't want it to make a mess. Nothing's worse than burnt chocolate. Alright, we've got our chocolate here. I'm just going to stir that in, and now our sauce is turning a lovely brown color. It almost kind of looks like chocolate milk, just thicker. Okay, while our sauce cooks down, I'm going to whip up a little fresh cream here, just to add another layer to our dessert. I've shown you guys this before, but I'm going to show you again. So we're just going to get a little vanilla out here. About a teaspoon of vanilla. And a few tablespoons of sugar. And I've got my hand mixer out. We're just going to beat this on a low setting. You just want to mix it until it's nice and firm. Alright, I think that's good. We'll put these guys in here. Thank you for coming. Now let's check on my sauce here. Oh, nice. Nice. That has thickened up beautifully, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, I've got my strawberries. I'm just going to grab a spoon here and ladle some of my sauce right on top. And get a little more. Beautiful. Okay, let's grab some of this whipped cream. And dig in. Nice, quick, simple dessert, but elegant in flavor. Just come in here and grab a strawberry. We've got everything in one bite. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. That chocolate, it's nice, it's kind of thick, but it's velvety. That chocolate really comes to life when you heat it up like that. Fresh strawberries, always a winner. And then the whipped cream. It's like the cherry on top. So good. And so quick and easy. You can wow your guest. So, that was the roux. I thank you for joining me in the kitchen, as always. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, bon appetit.